Hi, I'm Andre C, and I piloted Olympia in the RTN in Block 101 for a 9-0 undefeated victory. Here's the deck list. So we'll start with our reds. We have the usual Blade Runner. For most one-handed weapons, this is a staple for Warrior. And we have Sideboard. Pretty much everybody runs Sideboard in Warrior. It's a good go again consistent. Even if you don't use the copper, it's still good. And then we have Take It on the Chin. This is a new card from Heavy Hitters that says you would play this the next time you take damage, you prevent 2, and you will make an agility if you prevented damage. It is very good as it serves like a small defense reaction and still allows you to play an aggressive turn next. And then we have Spill Blood, one of our power cards for hatchets. Access to control have +2 and dominate until the end of turns. So basically it's a one cost for 4 damage plus dominate for both your axes. And then another new card from Heavy Hitters, and one that a lot of people seem to not like, Blade Flurry. It's a reaction that gives your current weapon attack +2 and your next weapon attack +2. It's a 0-4 at reaction speed. One of the very few above rate cards that the Warrior has, and it's very good. And then we also have 2 copies of In the Swing. We run In the Swing for for double weapons. Because you swing twice anyway, so you're guaranteed on the second swing to pop this, regardless of if you have reprise or not, compared to Iron Song Response. And then we have some cards we run for Olympia. We have wager cards. We have Edge Ahead, which gives your next warrior attack +3, and on attack you can wage an agility. And then Hold Them, same thing, but waging a vigor instead. Double Down is one of your quote-unquote gold payoffs. You can destroy gold instead of paying its cost. The next attack that wagers this turn gets +3 and Overpower. Overpower is not highly relevant in certain matchups. In some matchups, it's just pretty much the same as Dominate. The other effect that allows you to create 1 or more tokens extra if you would win a wager is pretty good. And you have another old warrior staple in Iron Song Response. 0-4-3 as long as you have a reprise. Then I run one off of the generic wager card, Money Where Your Mouth Is. Next attack can wager gold and gets +3. It is a 2-block, so you don't want to see too many of them. And then the combo with this is you can play it. It says attack, not warrior attack, so you can play it off a Nourishing Emptiness, off of a blue, and you can do 9 dominate waging gold. So one of the main reasons to make gold is, of course, cash in, destroy gold, or 4 copper to draw 2 cards. If you don't want to pay its cost, which you generally shouldn't be doing. The copper, we sometimes get to use it from Spoils of War, because they say, oh, you don't have blood on your hand in your deck, okay, I'll take Spoils of War and make 2 copper per hit. So that is sometimes relevant. It's basically, 4 copper is basically a free gold that sometimes may matter. And then we have 1 copy of Blade Runner Yellow and 1 copy of Shift the Tide of Battle as a redundant go-guns in case we do need them. Shift the Tide of Battles has a conditional effect, but if it's live, which it sometimes is, you get a hit, you will also make an agility token aside from giving go again, which is a great bonus. And then we move on to our blues. We have Blue Blade Runner under Staple Warrior for double one-handed warriors. It's just a good go again card. It's your blue 3-block. Glint, Silver. Every warrior deck I know of usually runs Glint. It's a go again at reaction speed, it's a 3. Then we have Hit and Run. Hit and Run is just another blue 3-block that is a redundant go again. And it costs 0, which sometimes is relevant. Having 0 cost go against is good because it allows you to play a 1 swing into a wager card that's 1 cost, like Edge Ahead or Hold Them, and then you can swing with your other hand just off of a blue and not need a vigor for it. One card we want to highlight here is Goblet of Blood and Wine. It's a new card from Heavy Hitters. You play this, you make an agility and a vigor, and then basically allows you to set up for next turn. Also, it's a good way to get rid of blues in your hand. If you draw a lot of blues in the same turn, you play this and you set up for next turn. The only downside is this 2-block, so something to consider. And then we have our wager cards in blue as well. We have 3 Edge Aheads, giving +1 and can wage agility. Hold Them is another wager card that +1, but wagers vigor instead. And then we have 3 blue Iron Song Response to just force the win and wager sometimes. So you get the 1 damage, you still get a token, regardless of how much damage you hit, which is relevant. And then we have Olympia specialization, up the end. This card is amazing. It's basically a blue overpower for Olympia, but on crap. It's flexible, so you don't necessarily have to pay all for all modes. It says pay X and then you get X plus 1 modes. This card has 4 modes, so you can pay up to 3. You can pay more than that, but it doesn't do anything. So ideally, you pay at most 3, and then you can wager an agility, a gold, a vigor, and you can give the attack plus Y, which is the amount of times it has wagered. So one way to utilize this effectively is you can pitch it early, and later in the game you can play 2 up the antes in the same reaction. The first one will give it plus 3, and the second one will see the 3 times it has wagered, and it'll give it another 3 wagers. So the next up the ante will give it 6. If you can somehow pay for all 3 of them, you can give it plus 9. So 3, 6, and then plus 9, which is kind of insane to do at reaction speed. And then lastly, we have Burdens of the Past. I borrowed my burdens from a friend, and well, it's not always relevant, but in the matchup it's relevant. It's really good, mostly for the fatigue decks. So we're gonna go over our equipment. We have Olympia specialization, price Gallia, temper block 2, and attack reaction. Destroy this, target weapon attack you control, wagers gold. This is how you want to be starting your gold economy, by destroying this, waging the gold, getting 2 gold because of Olympia's effect, and that gets you rolling with your cash-ins, double points. Grains of Blood Spill. We have temper block 2, legendary chess piece from heavy hitters that says whenever a weapon you control hits, you can pay 1 to make a vigor, generally just good. Brave Forge Bracers, Battle Worn 2. If a weapon that you control has hit this turn, you can pay 1, and the next weapon attack will have plus 1. And just general good warrior arms, and only arms that can be used for axes and not swords, because Iron Song Versus requires swords. And then Valiant Dynamos, Battle Worn 1. Whenever you swing twice this turn, you can remove a -1 counter. So refreshable, reusable Battle Worn block 1 legs, allows you to block break points easily, stops ninjas, kodachis, and their like. And then we have 2 of our weapons. Hatchet's a body and mind. Hatchet says if you attack with the other hatchet, was the last attack this turn, you get plus 1 on the attack. So if I attack with hatchet of body first, which is just a plain 2, if this attacks, the next attack is be coming in for 2 plus 1, so 3. So generally more consistent value than Centauri Sabers, which requires opponent to block with an attack action. Being Axis allows us to play a card like Spill Blood, which is plus 2 and dominate for both axes, which is very good for pushing damage or getting the opponent's armor, especially if you have on hits. And then we go to our sideboard. We run 3 pieces of Arcane Barrier, Northern Hood, Northern Jobs, Northern Boots. This is particularly for Kano. We have a lot of blues in the deck, 25 to be exact. And this gives us a much better chance into him than, not running any Arcane, just saying, oh, it's Kano, I'm dead. And then we also run 1 copy of Oasis Respite specifically for Kano. We already have 2 copies of Take It in the Chins, so an additional 1 copy of extra damage prevention, aside from the Null Rune, is a good insurance into Kano. And then we have the very standard 3 Sink Belows, 3 Fate First Scenes for most decks. 0/4 defense reaction just to cover any aggressive matchups. And then we have our poppers, Wage Agility and Command and Conquer. This one is 7 power, so it's more useful into Prism when they have the -1. And this one is good into Azalea and Fatigue matchups where you can buff it with up the ante and they can't react to defense reactions. We have Imperial Warhorn, the one-off. We're running it for dash specifically, the slab dash and defensive dashes, but I didn't fight one, so I didn't get to use them. Remembrance is for bringing back the Warhorns in dash matchups and bringing back the 6 power highers like Command and Conquers, and Witch Agility and Nourishing for the Illusionist matchups. For the top 8, my first match was into Azalea. Azalea is a generally good matchup for me, and I decided to go second. He didn't high roll me with a turn 0 dominated red, so that's good. So just play my usual game plan to Azalea, which is blocking the relevant on hit, otherwise just pushing into his damage and protecting his life total. And once he's low enough, he can no longer play a full 4-card hand, and we're chilling from there. My top 4 match was into Victor. Victor's generally a tough matchup. It came down to the wire, but I managed to close it out with a Spill Blood into Up the Ante, which is a very good combo. And then our finals was Dromai. And I thought that matchup was doomed, honestly. I have no way to properly clear dragons and pressure his life total at the same time. And we don't have Dawnblade where we can stack counters on our weapon. We also don't have Iron Song Pride because, you know, we're Axis, not swords, so we don't have access to that. So somehow we did it against Dromai. I'll take it. So yeah, Olympia won an RTN 9-0, even besting a Dromai somehow. Olympia better than Kassai? Like and subscribe.